Okay, so welcome to video number 5. Let's talk about visual real estate matters. So visual real estate is not talking about houses here, but it could be visual, it could be virtual real estate. Same thing. Basically, all that means is that the size of your image matters a lot. So imagine the image or even the screen right here. This screen right here just means that how much is your image taking up of the page. So if the image is big, then of course your real estate is going to be bigger. If it's small and you're not taking a whole lot of space, then your real estate virtually or visually is going to be not a whole lot. Now, why does that matter? Well, did you know that Pinterest allows you to pin graphics that are vertically oriented, meaning that they're long, which means that you're going to take more real estate compared to that of a square. So if you had the option to either use a square or a vertical rectangle, which one would you use? Well, the vertical rectangle, of course, right? Because not only does it take more space out of the page, it definitely shows up compared to all the other images. And not only that, in addition to that, it stands out. Now, when you're dealing with vertical rectangles, the problem is you need to make sure that your images look good. Because with a square image, you just put up an image, you can put a call to action, put up important information on that and put it up, and that's it. But with a vertical, you begin to realize that you need to really make it look good. It's not just a bunch of images. It's got to look really good. And don't worry about that. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So if you're not a graphic designer, it doesn't matter. You're going to be able to create some amazing pictures. Now, going back to why this is important and why taking up more virtual real estate is important. This is because the more of the page that you're going to take up, the better. The smaller of your image is, the less of the page you take up. And worse, you're going to be overpowered by folks on Pinterest that are using these longer pins. Because the longer pin is actually the strategy that will actually work. Now, this is a proven method that we discovered while testing our own images. We found that the longer pins would actually show up on the page. They got pinned more because they were obviously being shown a lot more. And a lot of times, longer pins will allow somebody to look at the image longer than they would a shorter image, if that makes sense. And we figured this out as well with sharing notes with other successful Pinterest marketing campaign owners. We asked them, we said, hey, what is your best size? And they said vertical long pins were their best size. Now, what exactly size should that be? We'll get into that at a later video. So if you spend a lot of time studying other people's pictures and looking through magazine photos, so if you take a magazine from a bookstore and you look through that, you begin to realize what people really want to see visually in your niche. That's why I showed you the method earlier where we looked at the magazines and then we kind of reverse engineered it by going to the website and took a look at that. But if you look at magazines and how they're laid out and all of that, if you can do something similar and lay your images out like that, it's going to be more appealing on Pinterest, because you're going to be competing with everybody else who are mainly just uploading images and that's it. But if your images look really nice and appealing and attractive, you're going to get more clicks. Now, to create a long pin, you have to put a few photos together, literally stacked on top of each other. So if you think about it, a square is just a square, but a longer pin is going to have several squares on top of each other. It might have 3 squares, it might have 4 squares. But of course, you don't want to make it too long as well, because there's a difference between being short and sweet and being too long-winded, right? If you think about somebody who is going to talk about a specific topic. You want short, straight to the point. You want the information really quick, and that's it. So similar to this, you want to have a long pin, but you don't want to have a pin that is way too long. So that's just something to keep in mind as you are thinking about how you can go ahead and create these long pins. So on the Pinterest feed, they make the pins stand out a little more by being long. But like I said, you want to make sure that there's a fine line between too long and too short. So tweaking the sizes of the images is a great technique to get more attention on the Pinterest board compared to that of the other pins that are smaller image sizes. So in the next few videos, we're going to discuss one type of long graphic that attracts a lot of attention, that works really well, that you can easily create without having any sort of professional graphic designer experience.